Here we go. Focus firing has begun once again with Argent versus Hex. Like the little guy makes it out. Looks like the Fiend makes it out and tries to hide. The brutes, when they die, they explode into some of these small... Can you smell it, Commander? That is that new RTS smell. We are now in Stormgate. I'm your host, Korak, and today's map is Isles of Dread. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the blue robes and the celestial gloves, we have Captain Newbi. His opponent for this moment in the top right-hand corner, wearing the red robes and the infernal gloves, here he is, Scaredcocnut. Both fighters ready? Begin! Quick announcement, I have not stopped casting CNC, but I will be throwing in Stormgate into my Saturday slots. I will do the best I can to make the thumbnail look different from one and other so it does not get confusing. Also, in order to save time, I will only be announcing Captain once in these intros because he's going to be in every single one since this is his spotlight. It does look like the first to be aggressive is the Infernal player, Scaredcocnut, maybe looking to do something here. I'm not sure if this guy can cast a spell and turn into people. Yeah, I'm really not sure what he does there. I don't know what that ability is. If he's able to get an imp out, or maybe if he just walked an imp all the way over here. This is something you see with some of the Infernal factions, is they make their way over to either the natural expansion of their opponent, or like this Celestial Chamber right now, he's building meat farms. Scaredcocnut's building meat farms around Captain Newbi's base here to start some harassment. That's going to be super great for him because he's going to have time to expand while Captain Newbi has to eventually deal with these meat farms. He can't just let these stay here. And in fact, that actually stops Captain Newbi from attacking the mobs that he was previously. And apparently he's going to kite them all the way back to his base. I was not aware that was something you could do. They are completely ignoring the mobs and trying to get this Shroud Stone, I guess that's what he's building there. Meat farm into a Shroud Stone. I think that is a turret, but I don't know off the top of my head. We'll see here in a second. It's about to be finished construction. Yep, there it is. There's the turret, but it gets destroyed just as quickly as it arrives, giving Captain Newbi just a little bit more time to deal with that. He does finally decide to take out the Shadow Mastiffs and then move his way back into the meat farms to take out everything that's over here. It looks like that is actually another Shroud Stone instead of a meat farm. Once again, he's ignoring the units and starting to go for this Shroud Stone. And this whole time, his expansion is just being a little bit delayed. Maybe that's what the goal of the Morph Core is, to make its way over there. Yeah, that does appear to be where it is going to start his natural expansion. But he is going to be at least a tiny bit behind Scaredcocnut when it comes to moving into his expansion. And Scaredcocnut is also going to have time to take out more farms since this minor rush is going down here. This is the last building left for this minor rush. It was not enough to do really anything to Captain Newbi other than delay him, but when you have these higher level players, and I believe this is an 1800 MMR match, when you have some of these higher level players, it does matter. Every little bitty thing adds up in the end game, and it's extremely important. Every unit you lose, every delay you get, if you're slow on this or slow on that, it's going to make a difference. We are getting some harassment on the natural expansion once again. It does undeploy just as quickly as it is deployed, but that means that it is no longer harvesting Luminite, so that's going to delay Captain Newbi once again. Scaredcocnut positioning maybe over here, expecting his opponent maybe to expand there sooner rather than later. That does not look to be what Captain Newbi is doing as of right now. He might just be focusing on making his way back to this natural expansion. That does appear to be the case right now. We get our first skirmish, our first true skirmish as of right now. We have Fiends, which are kind of like Zerglings, versus the ranged units of his opponent. There is a Hexen here as support to help with this, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to stop any of this. He's going to get a couple of Captain Newbi's units, but not enough to really do too much other than that. It's just his first hello from the Infernal faction. unless his goal is just to delay him from taking more towers, which he is most certainly doing. These delaying tactics will just buy Scaredcocnut more and more time to build up his natural expansions. He started on his second natural expansion, while it looks like Captain Newbi only has the, I think that's one setup. I believe these collections arrays do, as the name says on the 10. This one does appear to look deployed, and this one does not. So he's not harvesting both of those resources as of right now. Fiends harvest just like SCVs would inside of StarCraft, so you could have X amount of Fiends on Luminite mines. I'm not sure how much it is per Luminite mines, but this expansion is developing quite nicely. While this one is finally up and running, he does get some more and more resources going for himself. Captain Newbi making his first adventure into the center of the map, taking over that free tower. For those of you who do not know, you can sort of see it on the mini-map. These towers, when they're taken, it shows you what color, what faction they're under. So for Captain Newbi's opponent, it would be red, and vice versa for blue. So he can see what his opponent is doing, at least capture point-wise. So that'll let you know where potentially your opponent's units are at, what they're doing, what they're up to. So it's just another little note of what you can do. It does look like Captain Newbi has started to go for the tower over here, the Luminite Tower. They are kind of like the Tiberium spikes in Command & Conquer, where they give you small amounts of the resource. In this case, it's Luminite over time. So once he kills these mobs, once he kills these units, he can take that over and give himself some resources as of right now. We do have an energy tower that it looks like Scaredcocnut is going for right now. I believe the energy towers give you abilities. Like, I know if you're playing Vanguard, you can upgrade your units. You can give them veterancy with some of your energy. It does look like there is a flat amount for Captain Newbi. They probably work just a little bit differently, and this is one of the first time we can see these Curies. These Curies, for those StarCraft players out there, are sort of like a Zealot and a Baneling fused together. They explode when they die. You got to see one right there. When he dies, he pauses and then explodes. The Celestial faction can get a upgrade later on that will allow them to move while they're exploding. So they don't explode on impact like Banelings, but they do get the Baneling roll, and they when they're in combat, they fight like a Zealot. Scaredcocnut being sort of a little aggressive, maybe going for this tower over here, maybe thinking that his opponent has left when in fact he has not. Captain Newbi going behind and getting this Luminite tower for himself. Not a bad idea before this start. He probably figures he has some time before his opponent does this, and I believe he is going to start his first engagement. I think he's a little bit outnumbered. The Brutes here, their entire purpose is to be meat shields. He needs to get these Curie into the backline, into the Gaunts, because they're going to do the primary bit of damage. The Brutes, when they die, they explode into some of these smaller guys, giving even more meat shield to the name meat shield. So that's going to be super useful. It looks like Scaredcocnut is just a little bit behind in this engagement. However, he's going to step over into the healing tower over on the right-hand side that's not owned by him quite yet. He's also going to move into the forest, giving himself just a little bit more of LOS. These Curies are moving into what's left of the backline of Scaredcocnut, but they are ultimately winning this fight. They have pushed Captain Newbi back. Scaredcocnut showing sort of a bit of dominance here. He has not even really had any incursions into his base. His development of his infrastructure has been very, very great, while Captain Newbi has just been a little bit behind on those regards. And for those of you who do not know, at I believe certain time intervals, these towers spawn new mobs to take out that are a little bit stronger, and I believe they get progressively stronger throughout the game. Someone can correct me down in the comments specifically how that works. I am still very much learning this game alongside of everyone else. Captain Newbi has redeveloped his forces over on the center of the map, has moved in, and is beginning to take his health tower back. That's what that tower does. It does what it says on the 10, and it heals your units. If he can, it would not be a bad idea to grab the Luminite tower, but he may not know where his opponents are as of right now. Scaredcocnut taking the healing tower over on his side of the map, maybe prepping for some sort of defense, maybe just trying to get some veterancy on his units. Either way, free tower is free tower. We're probably positioning here for another fight. Both players are posturing very much like they are looking for something to chew on, and I think both armies are probably going to end up missing each other. If he does take this tower, though, if Scaredcocnut does take this tower, Captain Newbi is going to be able to see that his opponent is there. I don't know if this is completely lifted Fog of War or if you can only see the tower when somebody takes it. Scaredcocnut regroups with a couple of his units. He grabs a Magmadon, and for those of you who do not know, Magmadons have this ability called Trample, where they can run over units on the ground and stun them for X amount of time, so it gives you like a little bit of CC for them like running over them or running through them. It's actually a really interesting mechanic, and it doesn't look like Captain Newbi is going to see this assault coming until he moved in this Morph Core. He's going to lose this Morph Core, which means he's not going to get this expansion. There it goes down relatively for free. However, it did let Captain Newbi know that his opponent is here. That was really, really, really unlucky for Captain Newbi that he lost that Morph Core. He's way, way behind on these expansions right now. And the Banelings are moving directly in, the Curie are moving directly into the Gaunts. This is a good spot for them to be. Killing these Gaunts, killing this backline are going to be extremely important. The Micro is here to stop the trample of the Megalodon, and so it's going to continue as they finally get that kill off on it. They're still outnumbered. Captain Newbi is still outnumbered as of right now, but he's going to be able to take out more and more and slowly whittle down more and more of the forces of Scaredcocnut. Scaredcocnut moving into one of the natural expansions of Captain Newbi. Captain Newbi just sort of not looking super, super hot in this match. He loses another base. He got another delay over and over and over. And this fight, I'm willing to bet, will make or break the game for Captain Newbi. If he can win this assault without losing too much, things will be on his side. But his opponent just has so many resources. However, Captain Newbi does have a lot in reserves. He's a lot of Luminite. He has 2,000 Luminite and a bunch to begin his upgrades. I'm not sure what he can do, though. This is a large number of forces coming his way, and he's lost infrastructure after infrastructure, and he's still continuing to lose infrastructure in the background. The base defenses, the defender's advantage is here for Captain Newbi, but he's going to be able to do so much, and I believe that is the GG. I'm not sure if that was a disconnect or what, but that does appear to be the end of the game. It's time for a quick break before the next piece of action. I'll see you there. There you are, Commander. Our next match is on Broken Crown. This match is brought to you by solar-powered swords. Cutting-edge technology, literally. Here he is on the top side of the map wearing the red robes and the Vanguard gloves, the man himself, Parksaeroyi. We are starting off in match number 2. We get to see Vanguard versus Celestials this time around, and it looks like we have something spicy starting. The Bobs are moving their way down with the help of the Scout, maybe moving in for some sort of rush, maybe moving in for some sort of base swap, like as in he's going for his opponent's natural expansion as of right now. But no, that does not appear to be the case. It seems like we're getting a barracks, so we are going to get some sort of Vanguard rush as of right now. The only 2 units on the field for Captain is the 2 Argents. That's going to be enough to deal with a lot, but depending on the size of this barracks and what it can pump out can change that drastically. It looks like the Argents have started to take the first tower. They want the health tower to begin some of the kiting to sustain some of their units. They wait for some reinforcements, but are going to be building up here soon. Something to consider, though, is these 4 Bobs were not on the base for the Vanguard that entire time, meaning that even though he's got this forward barracks right here, those units had to have that travel time going all the way down from his base to there, costing him resources, costing him build time. It does look like the Argents were able to clear out the camp in the bottom. They were able to kill the Slimes over here. and grab the tower for themselves. I believe Captain is the first to grab a tower, but his opponent is going to be able to see that happening. He's going to be able to see the blue marker on his map. Everybody's starting off pretty slow as of right now, as of this moment. Everybody's just building up their economy, ecoing as fast as they can. And you can see right now on the bottom side of the screen that Park over here is significantly lower on Luminite resources. Granted, he is grabbing the secondary resource as of right now, but that is about it. That's all he really has on Captain Newbi. Dog's still moving around, still doing its little bit of scouting, as well as the Argents moving forward and killing more of these Shadow Mastiffs, clearing up more of the towers. It doesn't look like Park has been able to clear up any of the towers on his side whatsoever. He is starting to push out a couple of Lancers that will be beneficial. I don't know if this counts as cover, that little small patch. I've got to imagine it has to, considering it's on both sides. Maybe, I don't know, it's hard to tell. I'm not sure why he built the barracks and has his Lancers going all the way back to his base. It looks like the idea is to group up with another set of Lancers. No Exos there, but those are Bobs probably getting ready to build the natural expansion for Park as of this moment. Let's see. The Argents were able to take out the speed tower. I was not aware that that was a tower in the game. That'll be an interesting buff. I'm curious to see how long that lasts on them. Almost 30 seconds. That's a lot of time. They can cover a good amount of ground. If you put those on Exos, I gotta imagine that really puts in some work. We still do not have a natural expansion yet for Park, but I don't think... Oh, no, we do have a natural expansion over here for Captain. Captain was able to grab now his third tower over here, giving him vision, giving him another natural expansion. I don't see what good this barracks is going to do unless he's hoping it'll hang out there till late game. I feel like that's a little bit of a gamble. I'm not sure how much of a rush he's going to be able to get out of that, considering that he's still delayed over on his natural expansion and down on Luminite. And there it is. The barracks is going to get scouted by the Argents over here. For the most part, they're seeming to ignore it, possibly going for these Shadow Demons instead to grab a Vision Tower, which will be another useful item. That'll give him Vision Towers on both sides of the map, letting us see what his opponent is up to as of right now, because he hasn't really had any scouts to do too much. Lancers moving forward, probably getting ready to fight the Argents. And here we go. This is the first engagement of the match. We're going to see some micro with the Argents here. They get the dog down rather unceremoniously, and the Lancers continue to move forward. There are no ranged units whatsoever to support the Vanguard faction as of right now. They can just continue to kite and destroy these units. Arch ships are up in the air, and I believe they also give a little bit of a healing, or Lancers sort of just going full send for their opponent's base, maybe trying to get the Luminate Mine, but they're not really able to find any purchases as of right now. The micro is just here way too well for Argent. Argent is able to get pick after pick, just whittling these Lancers down while using the Arch ships to get healing off. It doesn't look like Captain Newbi is going to lose any units whatsoever out of this engagement. This is a lot of Lancers down for Park. This is not looking great for him. He spent a lot of time getting that barracks out, and the barracks has done next to nothing for him. Meanwhile, Captain has been more in control of the map, getting 4 towers on top of his opponent's no towers, moving on to his natural expansion significantly quicker than his opponent. His opponent just starting to get set up on his natural expansion. He does have the 2, I guess technically 3 barracks as of right now, but that seems to be all he's got going for him. These Argents are putting in some major work for Captain. They're the only units he's been able to get out on the field, but he's been able to use them to great effect, killing what's left of, or what little of an army that Park had. There they are. They are finally going for the barracks over on their side of the map. They're going to take it out rather quickly, rather unceremoniously. If there's one troop left in there, nope, we do get the sell-off for it. Park does decide to sell it. That's not a bad idea, but he used and spent a lot to get that barracks and didn't really get much out of it. looks like Captain Newbi is going for even more towers. I don't believe Park has even tried to take any of the towers. Maybe he is just unfamiliar with how strong they are. Maybe he was just trying to bet on a particular race. I'm unsure what his strategy is. He just seems to be preparing for a defense. He does have the first tower out, but right now Captain just has almost complete control of the map. He's now moving another arch ship over on the bottom side of the map, moving over to more and more expansions. Meanwhile, Park is still behind on his natural expansions. Captain just looking in top form this time around, while his opponent seems to be doing almost nothing. It does look like he's finally starting to move some bobs over to the Luminite expansion, starting up his third expansion for him, but he's still very, very behind his opponent. He's still very behind Captain as of right now. Captain keeps pumping out Argents. We do have looks like 2 Legion Halls and a Guardian Nexus at his main base, as well as a power bank set up for him. That's why he's got a little bit more power there set up. I believe the Celestials are a little more power hungry than the rest of the factions from what I can tell. I'm not sure what all constitutes for power uses for them. The natural expansion for Captain has begun to expand even further. He's just gaining more and more control over the map. He was able to take a Luminite tower as well, increasing his economic gains even further. His unit cap is set to 300. That's significantly higher than his opponent. He really should be scouting or using something. Maybe I'm unfamiliar with Stormgate meta, but I'm surprised there's not a lot more scouting in this game. I don't remember what the Celestial Scout unit is, and there's the definitely not Banshees moving in. Yeah, they really do look like Banshees. We do have a set of Banshees looking to join the Argents, making the forces of Captain just that much stronger. Still not too much going on from his opponent. His opponent seems to be almost not there. He's just ecoing this entire time, but he's so far behind on eco. Captain has 1,000 in the bank with not much going for his opponent. His opponent is spending on demand and is still very, very much behind him in eco and sort of in military as well. It does look like we are finally going to get some sort of action as of right now. There's a lot of exos here, and nope. I was a little overzealous thinking that we were going to get a fight there. It does not look like Park is looking for any particular bouts. I feel like he can do a lot of work with the exos, but he also doesn't know everything that his opponent has had to build up. Park does finally take his first tower, but that's really about it. I think it was pretty much free anyways. He takes a speed tower, which is going to help those exos even more. For those of you that don't know, the exos get a movement speed buff every time they fire, so they're very, very good at kiting, but they're extremely outnumbered. There's not too much they can do. This game is pretty much in the bag for Captain Newbi. There's not much of a response unless he loses a massive amount of forces. There's not much of a response that his opponent can muster. Exos getting healed by the health tower, getting ready for the fight that they ultimately sense coming. It looks like the tower did get sold off at some point, and this is moving into the final stages of the game. I will be very surprised if Park is able to turn this around. The advantages from Captain Newbi are just too numerous. It does look like he was able to micro and get a couple of picks off on the Exos. They're just sharking around and looking for everything they have, and it looks like we are also getting a bit of a base rush. Sort of the Protoss tactics, where they're setting up a base right next to his opponent's base. Not that other factions can't do it, but if I remember correctly, in StarCraft, that is the primary thing that those turret base rushes is the primary thing that Protoss are known for. Players still continuing to shark around, but this is all but over, even if Park doesn't know it. Here we go, we're finally getting the final engagement. Here comes the micro. We do have 2 Archangels. That spells the doom of his opponent of Park. We get several of these black hole effects over by the Banshee-style units, and the units just fall left and right for Park. Park is not in this game whatsoever. He is dead, but does not know it as of right now. Bobs move in to try to do even more, and there it is. There is the GG. Park calls it and bounces out of the game. Commander, time for a short transmission. Round 3 is coming up. Commander, the battlefield is ready. We are launching into match 3 on Jagged Maw. This battle is sponsored by Space Snorkels. Explore the stars, one breath at a time. Itching for victory on the bottom side of the map, wearing the blue robes and the Vanguard gloves, we have Frizy. With introductions out of the way, let's see if Captain Newbi is warmed up. He has played 2 games so far in this Spotlight series. So far, what he has sent me in the Spotlight series were a series of games he did almost immediately after the new patch came out. My replays got destroyed by the new patch. Apparently that is a normal thing. Hopefully that's something that does not continue once the game is fully released, because losing older patches is kind of frustrating when I have them already planned out on the spreadsheet. It looks like his opponent, it looks like Frizy is a little more active than Park was in the last game, and is able to get a medical bay right off the bat, as well as barracks. The key for this part will to see if he expands quickly. I know they say Infernals require sort of more of the faster bases, at least from what I have seen, as in they need to move into their natural expansions faster, so maybe it's not as big of a deal for Vanguard or a big of a deal for the Celestial factions. We have a Creation Chamber and, of course, the Arc Ship for Captain Newbi, and Captain Newbi has transitioned into his opening units, which are the Argents. No real forces yet from Frizy as of right now. He does pop his boost. That was that field you see. And I know it gives units, but I don't think it makes them... it just increases their construction speed. Unless he's sending... Yeah, I'm not sure where he popped that. I'm not sure what that's going to do for him, because it doesn't increase mining speed. It does damage, armor, so it's great when your opponent is attacking your bobs, attacking your miners, but that's really about it. It also helps with construction, unless he was just hoping maybe to finish that med bay sooner rather than later. Maybe he had bobs on it that I did not see, but we do have hedgehogs out for the Vanguard faction, going for a little bit of an armor rush. Let's see if he's able to pick off some of the Argents of Captain Newbi. He does decide, I'm guessing he attack moved onto the slime, and that's what he was able to get off. I don't know yet if the hedgehogs outrange the Argents, or really how this fight is going to go down. Unfortunately, I cannot get health bars to work for the life of me. Minor engagement goes off without really a hitch. Both parties have to go back and heal a little bit, but the healing tower is already here for the Argents, and at least threat-wise, the Argents seem to be a bigger deal than these Hedgehog. I wonder if we're going for a full armor build, and that does appear to be the case. We are getting another Hedgehog in the reserves, as well as Argents, so it's Argents versus Hedgehogs. I'm not sure how they break down 1 for 1. Let's see what we got here. Those ranks veterancy, those are their Quell rockets, which target ground, and then their Vanguard plating. We are grabbing rocket ammo, and they did grab that healing tower for themselves, so both sides of the map have grabbed their healing tower. This is a much smaller map than we've seen so far, probably one of the smaller maps that I'm aware of. We are getting some pretty decent scouting from Frizy for what I've seen so far in Stormgate. I'm used to in Command & Conquer, where you're constantly having to scout, or I'm used to in Supreme Commander, where the same thing, like you just constantly need to scout because you need to see what your opponent is up to. I'm not really sure I've seen Captain Newbi scout too much at all. He's just sort of kind of gone with this Argent build. And from what I can tell, from listening to some of Tasteless, I'm sorry, not Tasteless streams, from listening to some of Pig's streams about what to do in StarCraft, like his coaching and everything like that, he often says just sort of master the basics and, you know, work on one build over and over. He's got a video on his channel that goes over a Vanguard build that I'm sure is still relevant. It was done for last patch, but it's the build itself has got to be pretty relevant, and it looks like a build that basically starts with a bunch of exos and 4 barracks from what I remember, and then an early expansion, and then just sort of piling driving into that. And by keeping to the basics, sort of what I meant was it's just sort of like keep things simple, at least according to Pig. Pig says starting with these relatively simple tactics and then working on improving things from there work a lot better. And if you're learning a new game like Stormgate, which is technically not even out yet, that's not a bad way to learn things. Work the basics, find the core stuff that works, and then start working in your tricky stuff from there. So far, it looks like the person with the most map control as of right now is Captain Newbi. Captain Newbi has done a very good job of just doing this sort of slow Argent push, and it looks like this is actually going to be our first engagement. We have Hedgehogs versus all of these Argents. These Argents are not macro just as well. They're not focusing fire as well, but they did get one Argent. That is one Argent down, and they can go back and heal themselves on that tower. More reinforcements for the Hedgehogs are here. The sharking has begun. We have these Hedgehogs versus these Argents, and they really should be on top of this. They have defender's advantage. They need to sort of make this engagement happen. Granted, he can't lose his units, but with his opponent being so far away from his base, this is his time to pick off those units. Plus, he's got the healing. His opponent hasn't been able to get any healing as of right now. Here we go. Focus firing has begun once again with Argent versus Hedgehog. One Hedgehog goes down, being taken out, absolutely obliterated. Second Hedgehog is almost, there it goes. And the second Hedgehog is down. It looks like the micro was here for the Argents, for Captain Newbi. Maybe the Argents are significantly stronger than I thought. I'm really not sure how this matchup is supposed to go down. We're going to have more sharking once again as Hedgehogs go into focus fire and get a kill almost for free. A bit of damage gets dealt to some of the Hedgehogs, but they need to be running up to the north and healing. That's what they should be doing. They have this healing tower. They need to use it to their advantage. Even if they just drive by and get a small amount of health, like soaking up one more thing of HP can make a massive difference. Skirmishing continuing back and forward between the Hedgehog and the Argents. It doesn't look like Frizy is using anything on his side of the map to his advantage. It looks like you can even heal by putting a unit right here. I guess he's sending back some of the weaker ones, but I don't feel like he's using that tower as much as he should. More reinforcements are here from the Argents. They are just so hard to unlodge. One does get taken down in this engagement, the sharking back and forward. And if this keeps up, these Hedgehogs are going to come out on top. Captain needs to do something about these guys. I don't know if he's blocking. It looks like he's blocking the second or third natural expansion, or was blocking the second or third natural expansion for his opponent. Hedgehogs move in, not finding any targets. Captain electing to back up as of right now and maybe go after one of these towers. I'm guessing the Trinium tower just became available, and he's currently in the processes of taking it over. And here we go, another engagement between all of these Hedgehogs. This is a lot of Hedgehogs, and for some reason they do not take the fight. Maybe they've taken more damage than I realized. He has taken some time to move the more weaker ones to the back. They get another pick on the Argents, and probably another pick here soon, but that is one Hedgehog down for one Argent. These small little nibbles are really just to see what they can get their hands on. Nobody really wanting to commit to a larger engagement as of right now. And it looks like Blue has taken over the... I think it's only one, yeah. Has taken over the only vision tower on the map. It's sort of in a central location. Not a bad idea. That's for free. I don't know why he doesn't go for the Tiberium tower. Or not Tiberium, the Trinium tower. Maybe he cannot get it captured if he doesn't kill the mobs, and so it's stuck on the other person. I'm not sure yet. He does retake his health tower down in the south. He needs that to continue this fight. If he can continue to push and push on these Argents, he can get something done. But if he lets Captain spend this time to build up, he's going to get his Banshees. He's going to go into, if his build is the same as before, he's going to go into his Archangels a little bit after that, which can make it to the map rather quickly. Hedgehogs are scouted by this tower, so they're at least going to know, the Argents are at least going to know that this fight is coming. And here we go, here comes the bigger engagement, but this time there are some Banshees ready here to fight for his opponent, and I believe only one Argent was taken down there. We do have a V5 rocket launcher here over by Red, ready to go. I'm not sure entirely what that unit does. That doesn't even look like a Celestial unit, but once again, I'm still learning this game. Here we go, the Hedgehogs are moving in again against the Argents, and unfortunately that V5 rocket gets so many shots off, giving the Banshee unit time to put down its black hole ability, probably causing a lot of damage to these Hedgehogs. Unfortunately, we cannot see the HP. Engagement number 2 has started with another Argent being taken down, and Hedgehogs taking just a little bit more damage. Nobody wanting to commit to anything big, but the major problem is going to be that Captain Newbi is going to continue to pressure his opponent over and over. He's going to continue to make him lose ground over and over. That V5 rocket launcher just proving to be an absolute nuisance. It's really great. It seems to be really great at popping up that. And oh my god, there are 2 black holes splitting up the forces of the Hedgehogs. That has lost a whole bunch of units for Captain Frizy. However, the reinforcements are here, the Vulcans, but they lost a very, very large number of their meat shields, a very, very large number of these Hedgehogs. That's not going to be great for them. I believe we did get a heal out. I think that's what that beam is for the Celestial units, and the Celestial units are moving into one of the natural expansions of Frizy. This seems to be one of the final engagements of this fight. I don't know how Frizy will be able to come back from this. He's going to be able to lose a lot of units. However, there are still a large number of Vulcans here, but they're still going down left and right. There's too many targets to take out. It's not a target-rich environment if you were dead, and there is the game. Frizy throws in the towel. There are too many Argents to deal with. There are too many of the quote-unquote not Banshees here, and that is the end of match 3. Commander, that was one for the highlight reels. Time to relax before match number 4. The clash continues, Commanders. We are stepping into match 4 on the map Boneyard. This round is powered by Viking Virtual Reality, Pillaging in 360. Over on the bottom side of the map, wearing the blue robes and the infernal gloves, this is _ Silas. And yes, I'm going to call him _ Silas, unless I forget, and then, we'll go from there. It does look like we have a little bit of an animation lockup. I'm not sure if that's something done on purpose or just something done in the background. It is goofy nonetheless. We are getting a bit more scouting from _ Silas than we have seen with some of the other opponents. That is good. I love to see scouting. I still haven't seen very much scouting from Captain Newbi. Maybe he just doesn't need to. Maybe Celestials are just really strong right now and they don't need to concern themselves with scouting, but I feel like there are sneaky tactics that other opponents can do, and I believe that unit teleports? I think that's the case. I believe the Hexen teleports back to the shrine, back to the main base. I'm still entirely unsure what that ability is that the Hexen can do to get himself out of trouble right there, unless that's an ability of the base itself, just do sort of a recall. And the Hexen is sort of an interesting unit overall anyways. They're kind of like this Warlock unit, is very, very much what they remind me of. They throw a skull and everything like that, and they're sort of range, and I'm guessing with the name Hexen, they're probably doing some sort of debuff on the units they attack, but I can't see that as of right now. First tower is claimed by _ Silas as of right now. The Argents are working down, whittling the slimes on their side. Both players going after this health tower. That is crucial, especially if you think that you're going to be on the defensive. We are starting with our Morph Core moving into the next natural expansion for Captain, and the natural expansion for the Inferno player for _ Silas has begun as well. It's probably going to be a little bit behind. I think this Morph Core deploys much more quickly than the Shrine does. And they seem to have a lot of mobility. Yeah, it does seem to be building rather quickly. While the Shrine, yeah, the Morph Core might actually be done before the Shrine is set up, but I'm kind of curious if the Shrine has sort of a fixed amount that it gives itself. We're getting just a little bit more scouting over here by _ Silas, trying to keep an eye on his opponent, seeing what he is up to, using this Fiend to scout for him to make sure that his army doesn't get caught in a poor position. He is starting to go for the Shadow Demons to go for even more vision for himself, prepare for a larger fight. Still, not a bad idea, especially if you only lose a couple of Fiends. in order to see your opponent coming would be absolutely massive. There it is. There is the scout for _Silas, and it looks like the little guy makes it out. Looks like the fiend makes it out and tries to hide under a tree. I don't know if that'll work, but you know, good luck, little buddy. No, he's dead. He tried his best. But there goes one fiend. His buddies do try to go save him, but they're too little, too late. They're just not gonna be able to do anything. He's still doing, that is, Silas is still doing a good job with using those fiends as he should, as sort of like this faster moving scout unit. They're probably looking for these Argents. I'm not sure if they can beat 5 Argents in a row. From my understanding, the, Infernal faction has been related a lot to the Zergs. They have decided to attack the power bank of their opponent, almost being able to get it for free. There it goes. He gets absolutely taken out. The only way this could turn around for him is if he loses a whole bunch of units here when he gets sandwiched, or if he gets sandwiched by the Argent. But the Argents do decide to back off as of right now. More reinforcements are moving in for them, and this could be our first major engagement as of right now. There it is. There's our first major engagement, and we get an FUG down that I'm assuming gives these guys some sort of creep bonus or home field bonus, or maybe they were expecting to pop down a tower, but it doesn't look like Captain Newbi was going to take the bait and be ready for it. I think I've got to imagine that the FUG is some sort of ability that they can slap down to give them territory for some moment. I can't imagine it's a building, because there's no build radius here unless the Hexer somehow provides a build radius, which I do not believe it does. Captain Newbi is still positioning to build himself up, and I believe he is a little ahead on the economy. He has more in the reserves than his opponent by a whole lot. I don't know if this is one of those games where it's you have to be Johnny on the spot when it comes to using your resources. Like if you always want to be at like a certain amount, like 10%, only hovering and constantly spending your resources. It's very much like that in Supreme Commander, and a little bit like that in Command & Conquer. I'm still very much so unfamiliar with Stormgate. I'm learning right with everybody else, so it will be curious to see how those resources are meant to pile up. Losing that battery, I believe, is a little bit of a setback. No, there's a couple of power banks here, so maybe they're relatively cheap to produce for the Celestial faction. I don't know if anyone's moved over to their secondary natural expansion. It does look like we have a small base beginning to mine the Trinium over here, which is the secondary resource. Morkor is finally moving into its secondary natural expansion. Eco is a bit stronger on the... No, I take that back, because they're already established. The Demon's already established over on the southern side of the map. So maybe it's actually Captain that is a little bit behind now, at least on the expansion. He was very much so up on the Eco from what I could tell, but that can change relatively quickly. The base expansion has begun in earnest on all sides of the Infernal bases, while his opponent, Captain, lags behind just a little bit. This collection array is set up, but there's no infrastructure set up for it as of right now. The other side of that, though, too, is that is a lot of Argents. He definitely outnumbers his opponent by good number, and the Argents seem to be kind of beefier units. I was reading at some point that a good number of players didn't like the Argents and didn't feel that they were super great. I feel like it's the Argents are the units, and don't quote me on this. I feel like the Argents are the units that, like, they have so many charged attacks, and then after they fire their charged attacks, they do like half damage or something like that, but I could be completely wrong on there. Here goes the third engagement. We get another FUG down, and once again, Captain is just not going to take it. He's going to continue poking and prodding, and he gets 3 kills almost for free. We do finally get some brutes and some more hexers on the field. That will be a decent combo with these gaunts and with these brutes, but I feel like the Infernal faction is going to need more and more brutes in order to make this engagement work in their favor. There we go. One Argent has finally been taken down between the Hexers and all of these Gaunts, but they are not over yet. They are going to continue to kite backwards and kill as many as they can. This pest, the tiny demon, is going to get taken out after doing a whole bunch of shots towards the back. Neither player is looking for a full engagement as of right now. They're just trying to get the micro. There is the split, but they do not take it. I think that Captain Newbi was hoping that they would run right down the center, but that was not the case. Another refugee gets deployed down, and we begin the bigger engagement. This is a lot of Gaunts to deal with, but these Argents are pretty tanky. They can soak up a lot, and they do have defender's advantage. Two brutes join the engagement. That can tip the scale potentially. We might see a turn here in a second by the Infernal faction, but nothing as of right now. There are the Animancers, I believe. I'm just gonna call them Banshees. There are the Banshees finally coming in for the reinforcements for the Argents. Captain sticking to the build that he has been using so far, using his ability to heal his units. This is a lot of brutes to deal with. This is definitely, I feel, going to turn the tide of this fight. There are plenty of units still building up, but this is a lot of demons. I'm still pretty sure that the Infernal faction is quantity over quality, but that still remains to be seen. They have some very unique units. Still engagement moving back and forward, taking out pot shots where they can, and there they go. They're going for the powdery banks once again, hitting everything they can. They are forcing this engagement as best they can. And there they go. They take out another pylon. They take out the... Oh, they almost take out the Purifier, but they lose a lot of units for it. Looks like they're going to get a Hexer down here in a minute. No, he just barely manages to make it out. And the forces were actually split for Silas right there. Maybe he was trying to hope to get the Argents in a pincer move, but it just wasn't enough. They just weren't able to get it off. The whole time there, we have this strike node, this turret here for the Celestials taking some pot shots. It does finally get taken out over the cliff, and still, these units just being set up inside the base of Captain has to be frustrating. I don't think... no, Captain hasn't been forced to move back, and it doesn't look like anybody has scouted that yet. Yeah, taking that would be super helpful because he could potentially see that Captain has that over there, and that's what he needs to be doing with his forces. If he can take out that Luminous Mine, that'll be super great for him. I think he undeployed and then redeployed it there a minute, or maybe that's the animation it makes when it mines. I am unsure, but they back off sort of entirely. I feel like they can see that coming, and they do have a way out. I'm not sure why they wouldn't take that advantage, but once again, I can probably see a lot more than they can. Does look like Captain has finally put on his brave pants and is moving into the center of the map. This is sort of... I don't think he's gone too much further out of his Shire than right here. He is probably feeling a little bit more robust. He's got a couple more Banshees. He probably has some Archangels on the way. We get the first Black Hole ability, taking out at least one Gaunt and dealing a good amount of damage to a large number of the Gaunts. More and more Argents begin to build up for Captain, while we have this absolutely massive ball by _Silas raring to go, wanting this engagement to pop off. At this point, I believe Captain Newbi probably wants to... Sorry, sneezing. At this point, I'm pretty sure Captain Newbi wants to start sort of engagements in these choke points so he can use these black hole abilities, and so he can reduce the numbers advantage of _Silas. Captain Newbi doing a bit of a weird split. If his opponent was a little bit more on that, I think they could have probably taken out some Banshees for free, but that's, once again, easy to say. They're going to continue to shark around one another looking for an engagement. I'm surprised we don't have some of the smaller demons poking around for _Silas, seeing where his opponent is. And if _Silas is not careful, he may lose a natural expansion, but I guess that's much further around to go than I thought. Both armies sort of completely avoiding each other, going on the opposite sides of the map. Infernal's moving towards one of the natural expansions of the Celestials, beginning to move in. It does look like the Prisms get out just in time. Prisms have an ability that allows them to move 300% base speed the more and more they move, so they can sort of bounce around and take more and more units. And it does look like Captain Newbi was able to get some revenge on the natural expansion. They traded natural expansion for natural expansion, cutting each other off as of right now, but not losing those prisms is going to be a problem for the Infernals. Hopefully they can get out in time. Hopefully they can see that coming. They're going to see the skull coming their way. I think the skull is just primarily scouting. I'm not sure what it does. Oh no, it actually explodes and adds infest onto the prism. I'm not quite sure how you can infest a prism, but he did it somehow. Prism still, nope, they are finally just barely gonna make it out, maybe? Yep, at just 29 HP. It almost did not make it. However, it does still have Infest on it, so unless it can out-heal that, it's going to be a problem. And here we go, the Argents are moving into the base of underscore Silas. Underscore Silas is not in a good position to stop this whatsoever. He's going to lose this rather set up natural expansion. This is Captain Newbi's chance. He needs to be taking out some of these units, but he doesn't know where his opponent's main army is. He's probably worried about getting stuck in one particular location or the other. There it is. He does see it, and they get a number of gaunts in this black hole ability. They get it very, very quickly, and there's this, oh my god, this is so many brutes joining the fight. He must have had those in reserves. We're squaring up for a rather massive fight. All of these Argents and this absolute demon death ball over here, just sort of getting ready for this. And here we go. Here's the big engagement. Several black holes just slowing down and stopping the units. It is just a meat grinder over here. Unit after unit gets taken out, and almost all the gods, almost all of the damage are taken out. Sure, there are these Megalodons, and if they can get in there, they can do a large amount of work, but they're not going to do too much of that. The Brute's primary job is just to be a meat shield. There's not too much, I believe, that can be done. However, this is going to be a large number of fiends, but if these Banshees can survive and continue to blow up these black holes, Captain is going to be in an absolutely wonderful position. Most of the forces of his opponents of underscore Silas have been taken down, and he, for the most part, has won this fight rather handily. There are plenty of reinforcements coming their way, but they are just going to be thrown into the meat grinder and absolutely destroyed. He does decide to back off as of right now. He sees the writing on the wall. That is just too much to deal with. That's got to give his opponent, that's got to give Captain a massive boost in morale. He was able to take out a lot and not lose a lot. He did lose a handful of Banshees, which sucks, but he still has a couple left, and he has a whole lot of Argents. This skirmish continuing over and over as more and more gods get taken out, and I'm not sure why the Infernal Y underscore Silas is taking this fight. Maybe he was thinking that his brutes would be able to do more damage, but they're just not going to be able to cut it. They're going to get cut down before they can really do anything. More and more units get added to the meat grinder, and I'm willing to bet this game is all but over when it comes to what underscore Silas can do. He does get a Shroud Stone out, the tower for that faction, and that's going to help him. And actually, that's taken out way more units than I thought it would. I thought those units were going to actually stay there, but no, they get obliterated. Every single unit just gets decimated. I'm not sure if that was the Hexers doing, if those Shroud Stones are just really powerful or what, but those Argents got absolutely smacked down. And it doesn't look like there's a real answer as of right now for Captain. Captain does have a little bit of a ball built up, but I'm not sure he's ready for too much. And that natural expansion gets taken down once again, followed up by the Morph Core. That is extremely unfortunate for that natural expansion. He just cannot get set up. Captain cannot get set up over on that side of the map. He has elected to take one of his opponent's natural expansion and sort of a one that hasn't been visited frequently too much, but underscore Silas has begun to scout around looking for where what is, and it looks like he is moving to one of the natural expansions. He might actually see both on his way over there, which would be good targets to take. This is sort of an unfortunate position for these Argents, but there are less forces here than I thought they would be. They're gonna take out this tower rather quickly. I don't know why he's not pushing forward. Maybe he didn't. I see now. The main force of the Infernals, the main force of underscore Silas, were actually moving into his base. There is the black hole ability. These Argents are doing a good amount of damage, and the Banshees are popping their abilities off left and right. This is going in, at least it appears to be going in the favor of the Argents, but this is still a good number of fiends to deal with. The micro needs to be here. The focus fire needs to be here. Maybe the brutes are stronger than I originally thought. I thought some of the higher level players were saying that the brutes were mainly just for meat shields, but I could be wrong. However, these Argents are taking their time and whittling down the forces. They do keep getting stuck on the little guys, and they're probably going to get taken out here pretty soon, and more reinforcements keep joining underscore Silas. The forces of Captain Newbi have been whittled down time and time again as the reinforcements of his opponent continue to move forward. This is looking grim for Captain Newbi. He has begun losing some infrastructure, at least some damage on it as of right now, but there are Argents here to start this fight, to start this engagement. No Banshees to back them up, but there are a lot of these power banks. I don't know if these power banks recharge the shields of the Argents or if they heal them or what. I know the actual flying cores will heal a little bit of the Argents, and so that's useful for them as of in this fight. That does appear to be the case. I think the purple bar is their shields that they run back to base to charge, and it would make sense that the power banks charge that particular thing. It does look like Captain Newbi lost a natural expansion and is probably going to lose another one here any moment. I didn't realize there was a natural expansion setup where you can only get to it from air. I wonder if the Infernals can even make it up there, if they have some sort of transport ship inside of their military. Either way, more infrastructure of Captain Newbi is going to be taken out. He's going to lose yet another natural expansion. He just cannot keep the natural expansions up to save his life, and Underscore Silas's economy is looking rather strong, as well as his military. We have 160 versus 168, but I'm not sure all of the forces all the forces for Captain Newbi are not grouped up as of right now. The Fiends are going to finally get found out as they scurry away looking for another target to take out. I don't believe they can do anything but air, but they're going to run back and mess with this Morph Core once again. If they take it out, that's going to be the third time that natural expansion has been taken out. And there it goes. Fiends taking out another natural expansion. That's got to be frustrating, losing that 3 times in a row, as well as losing these natural expansions one right after another. It does look like, for the most part, that Captain Newbi has managed to lick the majority of his wounds and has built up a decent-sized military, but his opponent has what looks to be the bigger army for the moment. Underscore Silas taking one of the Luminite towers, not that he really needs it, and then taking out another natural expansion. He just seems to be out-microing Captain Newbi as of right now. Captain Newbi just cannot keep up with Underscore Silas. Everything really comes down to these skirmishes. If he can get another really good skirmish off, he can recover a lot of these losses. He did have some really good gains early on, but losing these natural expansions left and right is got to be hurting, and his economy is definitely the worst for it. Engagement is beginning, but the Captain Newbi not seeming to want to take it. I take it back. There are several black holes right there. They're going to be able to do a tremendous amount of damage as they dodge the abilities of the Infernals. Unfortunately, the Banshees are going to get caught in a terrible spot and just absolutely take it out, leaving only the Argents and 2 Banshees left. However, a lot of the forces of the Infernals have been whittled down slowly over time, and there goes another Collector's Array if they spend the time to take it out, but they are not. They're going to go for the juicier target. They're going to go for this ball of Argents, and they might just succeed. This is a lot of Magmadons and a lot of units. They are inside the base of his opponent, which means he's going to get that defender's advantage, whether it's from the power banks, whether it's from the reinforcements, but it's not looking great for Captain Newbi. He is in a rather precarious spot, and his units are absolutely pushed into a corner, pushed up against the wall. They're going to be able to get a lot of kills, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. The horde of demons is just nigh unstoppable, and there it is. There is the GG. Underscore Silas able to get a point, able to take a match from Captain Newbi. Nice plays, Commander. Take a break, and we'll be back in match number 5. Commanders, the fight is on! Match 5 starts now on Jagged Maw! This match is sponsored by Jetpack Jeans, fashion that takes you places. Over on the bottom side of the map, wearing the blue robes and the infernal gloves, here stands back again, Underscore Silas. And of course, Captain Newbi! I said I wasn't going to announce him, but I felt like it. We have begun another engagement with Underscore Silas, another match between Underscore Silas and Newbi, Captain Newbi. It'll be curious to see how this works. What has Captain Newbi learned? I think that he needs, and I always forget the name of him, but I think that he needs some melee to protect his Argents and his Banshees. He seems to go primarily for these Argents early on, and those seem to do a good amount of work for him, but he needs to transition into something else. He needs something to buy his Argents time to deal damage, to buy his Banshee's time to deal damage. Scout is going to teleport itself back to its base once again. Captain Newbi not getting any scouting off, but it seems less detrimental in this game to not have a scout, because if in Supreme Commander, if you don't have a scout, someone can build like a nuke and get it ready before you even know it, or just rush something, or you could pump a bunch of resources into someone. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in Supreme Commander, sort of like building up in the long run or mid game. And in Command & Conquer, Command & Conquer Kane's Wrath, if you take the time to invest in some of the higher tier units like flame tanks, you can sort of sneak your way into your enemy's base and get a whole bunch of infrastructure with that one unit for relatively cheap. I don't know of anything in Stormgate that is like the flame tank rush of the Command & Conquer series, or can do detrimental damage early on. Maybe Stormgate is designed more for the mid game to late game, and it's harder to do some of these rushes. But once again, my sample size for Stormgate is rather small, and I don't really do anything with StarCraft, which is, you know, what this game is in essence. It's StarCraft and Warcraft made by the original Blizzard devs, some of the original guys. This is sort of their take on it. At first I wasn't sure about it, but I think it's really grown on me. The units seem different enough from one another, and while there are definitely some heavy notes, and you can definitely tell where Warcraft 3 and StarCraft were influenced, or where these guys have pulled their influence, where they guys have pulled their style for everything. There's plenty of units in here that you can draw comparisons to from Warcraft, from StarCraft, and you know that may be by design, or that may just be these particular developers' aesthetic. Either way, I'm here for it. This doesn't feel like a reskin of a StarCraft game to me. I find this particularly interesting, and I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the art style, but you know, I honestly enjoy it. I don't think it looks bad. I think that it's an RTS, and the visual fidelity, if I'm using that word correctly, is pretty important. Like you need to be able to distinguish between these units, and even if you think you don't need it, it still helps some of the players. You can't build an entire game all the time for the pros. You got to build stuff for your lower level players as well. Not that the pro play isn't important, it definitely is, but you got to design stuff and make it approachable. And I think that's the goal they wanted to do. We do get a minor skirmish over here. The underscore Silas is very, very big on setting up this effigy, which I believe, I know it allows him to build structures, but I'm not sure what other bonuses it provides. If anyone could let me know down in the comments what the purpose of that effigy is, that would be great. Because in Command & Conquer, if you have a build radius like that, so like if you did that in Command & Conquer, you would immediately place down a tower, but that does not appear to be the case for the Infernals. If I'm correct, the Infernals need their little guys, need the imps. The imps turn into like whatever building. The implication probably being that they're being sacrificed. This is a lot of Argents to deal with early on in the game. These Gaunts are not going to be enough to fight them, and they are wisely backing off. They don't want to lose forces unnecessarily to the Argents. And it looks like, so far, we're getting a bit of a repeat of the last game. I'm really hoping that we're going to see some melee units from Captain Newbi, but we don't know yet. Maybe his tactics work a little bit better. Maybe he was just in a particularly bad spot. Maybe he's not great with the larger maps, or maybe underscore Silas is just a better player. It remains to be seen. This is still only game 2. That's hard to tell, and most everybody is still learning Commander is still learning Stormgate. Even right now, like this patch is significantly different. Those Baneling units, which were used heavily beforehand, no longer have armor. So maybe that's what Captain Newbi is trying to figure out, is what is the new role of Celestials, if they have a role in this one. I've definitely seen some extreme comments saying that Celestials are no longer effective after the patch, but I think that remains to be seen. I've seen plenty of games that have a meta that get turned on their heads when they see a pro do it and they go, oh, hey, this particular strategy can work. I believe that happened in Tasteless's stream. I don't remember what the specifics were, but in one of Tasteless's recent casts, one of the players sort of found a new answer for himself in dealing with, I think it was a rush, and did very well in a tournament because of that. So, you know, this game is new, this game is evolving, and like Tasteless was saying, there is going to be several of these moments that are a tribute to the development of the game, sort of like epiphanies, aha moments, where the players only get to do that so many times. We do have the V5 rocket launcher out again for his opponent. It looks like for Captain Newbi. Captain Newbi found great success in grabbing that guy last time with his Argents. It did a good number of damage, and that might be what he needs to tip the scale. This is still a large number of Argents, but the Brutes are here, and we do have a bunch of Hexers. It looks like Argents are really the only thing that Captain Newbi is going for right now, while his opponent has a lot of variety. But then again, like I said, those Zealot Baneling creatures that Celestials have, I believe they lost their armor ability, or their ability to gain armor, and I believe that was what people were saying was starting to make them useless. And we do get our first Weaver out here for Underscore. Silas, I believe its primary purpose is to pull units close to it, and unfortunately there goes a V5 rocket for free. It just had absolutely nothing to back it out, and it's gonna get it just got absolutely smacked by the Weaver and the remaining forces as the Argents backed their way out. They are beginning to take more and more towers, and at the very least it looks like it looks like Captain Newbi is up on towers. I'm not sure how much that will count for. Captain Newbi has almost 1,000 in the bank, so that's also going to be useful for him. He's got a speed tower, and he's got this Trinium tower, and he does have a lot of Trinium, which from my understanding is the upgrade resource. So maybe he's just trying to transition into those Archangels that we saw before. He did get 2 out, but I haven't got a chance to see Archangels in a all-out brawl. So maybe we'll get to see that this time around. Silas is going to take the Lookout Tower, giving himself a little bit of scouting range. Not a bad idea. Vision is extremely important in most RTSs. I think it's extremely critical. I'm hoping when I cast some of the higher level players, I'll see more and more scouting, but I won't know. Maybe that's just not in the cards for it. Everybody is sharking and positioning to start an engagement over here. This is going to be maybe the engagement. FEG does come down, and we get a small amount of a fight as the Argents still begin to kite and take out some more of the little guys. If I was Underscore Silas, I think I would start picking on the base, because Captain Newbi is probably not going to want to fight that. And we get to see our first artillery unit, the Hellbound for the Inferno faction. They sort of throw this fiery basketball at their opponent that moves rather quickly once it's out, and I believe has splash damage, but the windup for it takes ages. Just absolutely forever. You could probably do your taxes in the time it takes for them to cock back their arm and fall asleep for a couple of minutes. It's just absolutely frustrating. And here we go, the engagement is finally starting. Argents versus all of these units, versus the Gaunts, versus the Brutes, and the Black Holes are getting caught out over and over. Captain is doing a much better job of thinning the herd than he was previously. These Brutes are left, and those have proved to be the problem in the past, but we will see. He did, for the most part, come out on top. We do get some of these Curie, that's the name of those units. We do get some of these Curies out for Captain Newbi. I really think that's the element he's missing, unless they're just super, super weak right now. And there they are. We finally get some Archangels ready to start this engagement. If they can get those Hellborn, that is going to be extremely useful to them. They do drop in and they start doing a lot of damage. They're also very beefy. They're going to be the front line for these Argents, for these Banshees, and the front line for _Silas is just absolutely collapsed. He's just lost too many units. He needs to get what he has out, maybe sacrifice a couple of units to maybe save that Hellborn, but the Hellborn does manage to make it out, and they make it behind the Shroud Shard. Yeah, Shroud Stone. Words are hard. Captain Newbi faring much, much better than he was previously. He's pretty low on the Trinium, but that's probably because of the Archangels that he's been able to get his hands on. And it looks like two of these Archangels actually took a large amount of damage, losing a very, very good chunk of their HP, but they are recovering over here at the HP tower, at the health tower. We have some Arc ships moving in to support. If I remember correctly, they can heal units. I don't know if they can heal air units like the Archangels, but they are going to be here to support their army, and things are looking sort of grim for the demons. It looks like redemption has come their way. Fourth Archangel is moving its way in as they begin to poke at this Shroud Stone, trying to see if his opponent has moved his forces in anywhere sneaky, but that does not appear to be the case. And we finally get to see if you can retake this Trinium Tower, or if you have to kill the unit. Okay, so yeah, you can retake the Trinium Tower. I thought you had to kill the units in order to do that. And another item of note is there are these healing flowers on the map, which the Archangel should be trying to grab. I think one or two of these Archangels are still pretty hurt. Yeah, that Archangel is still hurting pretty bad. Captain Newbi looking in absolute top form, and it looks like the tables have really turned. _Silas is definitely the one on the defensive this time around. He doesn't have as much room to move around like he did, where he was able to out macro Captain Newbi. Captain Newbi definitely seems more comfortable on this map, and he was able to get his Archangels out. He was able to find some sort of front line for himself, because those Argents were just taking way, way too much damage. Skirmish has begun. Looks like the Argents doing the best they can to bait this out, but instead the Infernals bait out one of the Banshee's Black Hole ability. Here we go. Here begins the engagement. The Celestials cannot back out of this. They are absolutely backed into a corner, but I'm not sure they care. These Archangels are just going to be able to do a lot of damage. One Archangel not engaged. He needs to get in there. He needs to help his units. He needs to help his friends, but I think it is too little, too late. That is 4 Archangels down, and the majority of the force of Captain Newbi getting absolutely obliterated. He got pushed into a corner and then consequentially picked off. These Arc ships are probably not going to be able to get away. They do have a good amount of HP, but they're just not going to be fast enough. I don't know how Captain Newbi will be able to recover from that. He does have a lot of money in the bank, but he does decide to call in the GG, giving _Silas a 2-0 victory in this spotlight. That was match 5. Number 6 is on the way. I'll see you there, Commander. Commanders, the stage is set and match 6 takes place on Broken Crown. This battle is brought to you by Galactic Garden Tools, because even asteroids need a little pruning. Over here on the top side of the map, wearing the red robes and the Vanguard gloves, this is Frank. It's Frank. I'm calling him Frank. Don't get mad at me. I can only read English. I'm doing the best I can. If you see this match, Frank, then please let me know how to say whatever that is, and I'll try the best I can to correct it. I apologize in advance, but I'm a dumb American, and I just need to call you Frank, because Frank's easy. And anyways, continuing on with the match, it looks like we're continuing with sort of a run of... actually, we're getting a bit of dogs this time around from the Vanguard faction. I have seen Dog Rush do a thing. I'm familiar with a guy called Bike Rush Owns, who I think is actually ranked 9 on the scoreboard. He plays a lot of Command and Conquer, and with a name like Bike Rush Owns, you gotta imagine, you know, what he does. So maybe someone's taking a note out of his book and trying to do a bit of the Dog Rush, which might be really interesting to see, because these Argents are rather slow moving. Maybe a couple of dogs can get some good shots off. However, the arc ship is here to start healing some of them, but it's gonna be too little too late. There's gonna be one Argent taken down, as well as one Popper. One good boy has been taken down. That's extremely unfortunate for the doggos, but they were able to, and they weren't even really able to delay. They're just sort of doing harassment. I believe going that far early on is what Pig calls tryharding. I don't know enough about the game to see what is tryharding. It does look like Frank is continuing with his dog spam, with his dog rush, and is going to continue to move in that. Argents are putting their backs up against the power bank so they don't get completely outnumbered, so not all of those dogs can get a concave. Even though they're not ranged units, the concave is that deal where all units are able to fire all at once. That's pretty standard in Command & Conquer. I'm not sure how standard it is in games like Stormgate. I forgot the name of the game for a minute. Games like Stormgate and not Stargate, that's the TV show, and StarCraft. There it is. Jeez. I'm not familiar with how common concave, making sure all units are firing at once, is there. That'd be another thing if you guys want to let me know at one point. I know I'm asking a lot in the comments, but I'm trying to expand my knowledge on the game. Frank does manage to take one of the towers in the south. His opponent, Captain Newbi, is going to be able to see that, but the more important part is that these good boys, these doggos, these fur missiles, are going to get healing as more and more doggos make their way down. It doesn't look like the dog rush has slowed Frank down in his expansion too much. He does appear to be a bit behind the Celestial faction, but I think the output of the Bobs is higher than the Collections Array. I think I'm just going to have to play Celestials at some point to figure out how they work, because I'm extremely uneducated when it comes to the Celestials. One good boy gonna move in and move out just as quickly. It looks like he was meant to rally with the forces that are no longer there, and Frank is going pretty heavily into this fast-moving dog rush build. I don't know. I think the only way he can really get too much done is if he's able to sneak past his opponent and maybe get some towers before his opponent does, or get some infrastructure while his opponent's army is moving around. That would be something I would love to see more of from the Vanguard factions, is building these dogs up and then building your normal army and then having the dogs act as sort of cavalry, to where either they hit the back line of your opponents or they hit the infrastructure while you're fighting. That's another tactic I see common in Command & Conquer, where it's not just about killing your opponent's units, it's about killing your opponent's units with a purpose, as in, like, you start an engagement, well, while you're starting that engagement, you're going for some of the higher level resources, and you're taking the advantages you can based off of the kills that you were getting, instead of just purely getting kills. And there's one dog going down. He's not going to stand a chance. Poor fur missile going to get taken out rather quickly. He was not able to retake the vision tower for him over there, giving it to Captain Newbi instead. Captain Newbi still looking in a rather decent position. He's continuing with this Argent build, and I think that's going to fare fairly well against the dogs unless he gets out macroed. That does seem to be one of his weaker stance from what I can tell, but once again, this is only 6 games. I've barely seen this guy play. This is just my observation off the top of my head. We do get our first non-dog unit. We get hedgehogs on top of the dogs, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. These dogs are going to get taken out rather quickly, and only one Argent is going to get taken out. However, the hedgehog does rank up and it gains some veterancy. I would get that hedgehog out of there, and he does manage to back him up just a little bit, and I think they outrange the Argents just a little bit. Argent after Argent just getting absolutely obliterated. Hopefully these hedgehogs can live through this engagement. At least one of them was able to rank up twice, giving itself additional damage and HP. That'll be useful later on if he can back up that ranked up hedgehog. Morph Core moving into one of the natural expansions of Captain Newbi over here. Captain Newbi focusing a little bit more on economy in this game, although I guess he tried pretty heavily against underscore Silas, but underscore Silas was really decent in taking out natural expansion after natural expansion. This does seem to be a smaller map than the match where he originally fought underscore Silas, so that might play into his strengths, that might play into Captain Newbi's strengths, as in dealing with larger armies, and dealing with the macro and sort of being all over the place, because the more there is to defend, there more brain power it requires to do that. It does look like we're transitioning from dogs to hedgehogs, and they're going to continue to try to rank up and get a couple of towers for themselves. Captain Newbi going for the vision tower, going for the vision of his opponent, but that also means that these hedgehogs know where their prey is and are probably going to try to race their way towards it. There it is. Here goes the second major engagement of this fight right now. One hedgehog, two hedgehogs get taken down, and I don't think they have the firepower here to take out their opponents. The ranked up hedgehog, I believe, is still alive. Yep, there he is. He actually got another rank, but they did lose two hedgehogs for free. From what I can tell, at least in this match spotlight, in this player spotlight, the Argents seem to do fairly well against the Hedgehog. I'm curious what the Vanguard answer is to the Argent, unless the macro and focus fire is just that much stronger on Captain Newbi compared to the opponents we've seen him gone up against. Another Morph Core moving out, expanding the resources of his commander of Captain Newbi even further. Captain Newbi not wanting to lose when it comes to the eco game. He did get out-ecoed in a couple of those games under underscore Silas, and I think he's trying to do the best he can to recover and learn from those mistakes from the previous match. Another tower going to get taken, another Luminite tower going to get taken for the blue faction for Captain Newbi, giving him just a little bit more in the resource department. I believe he also has more natural expansions set up than the Vanguard faction, although it's a lot easier for the Vanguards to move in. And this is our third engagement. We're going to have several of these hedgehogs moving in to fight the Argents, and they just don't seem to be able to do enough against the Argents. Hedgehog after hedgehog gets taken out, and they're, even though maybe they're starting to turn around right now. There's the heal. There are more Argents, and this battle has absolutely flip-flopped. There is the turn, and there is the heal on all of those Argents. Hedgehogs having to force retreat just as quickly as they get in there. So far, it does not appear that Frank is winning these back and forward engagements. They seem to have gone in the favor of Captain Newbi. I don't know what Captain Newbi did with his... There, okay. He moved his Argents down to the health tower to try to get them some HP. They also need to go to the power banks in order to recharge. That's either their shields or a special resource. I'm not sure. I think it is the Argents that have a special shot that consumes this resource right here, and so they do less and less damage. And maybe that's why the Argents were losing in those underscore Silas fights, is because they ran out of energy, and so they spent all of their damage hitting the other damage dealers, and then when the brutes were left, they just didn't have the energy to continue that fight. That is an interesting dynamic. This is sort of what I'm talking about. I really love these minute little differences with the factions. I thought the Celestials were kind of boring, but this is sort of turning me around a little bit, at least when I learn more and more about the Celestials. I've been pretty underwhelmed, though, with the Hedgehogs. Not that the Vanguard faction I felt has been particularly weak, in my opinion, but the Hedgehogs... Is that their goal, or are they just mainly for air defense, or are they just good at shooting both? They do get a tower, or not a tower. They do get, what is this guy called? That's not the same one. Arc ship. There you go. Words are hard. They do get an arc ship for free, so that's going to be great on their end. And I wonder if only those missiles can shoot air units. Like if they're, it does say for ground, but maybe that's because they're in ground mode. Both players are continuing to shark around each other. We are getting another transition from Frank. Frank not staying idle, grabbing these hedgehogs probably to soak up the damage, and the Vulcans, I believe, are going to be the damage dealers. It's kind of hard to think that this slow-moving unit with a massive Gatling is not the damage-dealing unit. This might be one of our final engagements right here. These Vulcans need to get behind their forces. These Vulcans need to get behind their Hedgehog. And oh no, there is one Vulcan caught unawares, caught in a bad spot. Banshees are deploying their abilities and hurting a good number of these Hedgehogs, and the Vulcans just can't get in range in time. And I think this is looking horrible for Frank. He's losing unit after unit. He's losing Hedgehog after Hedgehog, and there goes his entire force. He just keeps losing these over and over, and I believe Frank called in the GG right there. I apologize once again, Frank. I do not know how to pronounce your name. Let me know in the comments or DM me, and I will do the best I can to try to remember your name and pronounce it better next time around. That's it for now, Commander. I have been your host, Korak. Transmission out.